Hello and welcome to lesson 5 of week 3. My name is Mildred. In this lesson, we are going to look at dictionary in Python. Dictionary is a data type that allows you to store multiple values in a single variable, and these values that are stored are referred to by something we call a key. So they are written in name value pairs, and the name each item is what we use to get the item when we need the item, but it does not allow duplicate. Creating a dictionary is similar to how we created a set using a pair of curly brace. So let's say we have a dictionary called student1, and in a pair of curly brace we want to specify a name for each value. So we want to have first name. So whenever you use a dictionary and you want to specify the values, you keep the rules of the data type of that value that you are specifying. So John is a string and so it's quoted. You use a comma and specify another item with the name and the value. So the last item will not have a comma before the close curly brace. So you can have several dictionaries. Let's have up to 3 students here. So we have these 3 students. We can also use the dictionary method like this and create a new item of the dictionary. Let's create a new student, say student 4, and we'll use the dict method. So dict. So now we just use a single round bracket or parenthesis like this, and then specify the key and the value. Now the key is not going to be quoted. We'll say first name is equal to, and we'll put the name of the person, let's say Michael. So let's try to print out items of a dictionary, but for us to do this we have to see the methods that we have in a dictionary. First of all, you can access the item of a dictionary. Let's say we want to get the item in student 3. For instance, we want to get student 3 city. So we can print student 3, and then in a pair of square brackets we'll write the name of the key to get the value for that key. So you write the name of the dictionary, a pair of square brackets, and then you specify the key name, and it's quoted as a string. And when we print this, we'll get the city is Chicago printed out for student 3, which is the city. So you refer to the key name when you want to get the value. Now there are several methods for a dictionary, and they are not similar to what we've seen in the other iterable types. We have the get method, written get like this. We can use this to access the items in a dictionary. And how do we use that? Let's say we want to get the first name of student 1. So let's say 1 first name, 1.get. In a pair of parentheses we put the key name. The key name is first name. Let's get the last name too, and then now we can print. So this will be a comma separated list. And so when we print this, we get John Doe, because John is the first name and Doe is the last name for student 1. Alright, we have another method, the key method, and we use the keys method to retrieve all of the keys in a specified dictionary. Have the keys method written keys, and then we have something we call the values method, and then we have something we call the items method. Now what the keys method do is to give you all the keys you have in a dictionary, and that way you can know the keys to be able to access the items or to be able to call the values for those keys. The value will return the list of all the values for that dictionary, and then when you use items, it will return all of the items of that dictionary, but it's not going to return it as a dictionary but as a list of tuples. So you have a list of tuples of name value pairs in the items. So let's try them to see. I want to print, let's say student 4.keys, and then I want to print student 4.values, and then I want to print. When I run this, I will get the first one is a list of the keys for student 4, which is first name, last name, age, city, email, and that is what we have here. And then we want to get the list of the values for those keys, which is Michael Brown 28, Houston, michael.brown@example.com, and that's what we have there. And then the items now gives us a list, so we can see it returns a list in a square bracket, and in it we have a tuple of the key and the value of each of the items in that dictionary. Right, so we have another method we call the update method, written like this, and we use the update method to update the items. So we update the dictionary that is specified with the items from the arguments that we'll specify. So let's say I want to change the age of the student. Let's say for student 2, I want to change the age from 25 to like 30. So what I'll do here is to say student 2 dots, and I'll use the update method like this. Then in the pair of parentheses, I can now specify the key, which is age, and then the value, which I want is 30. So what this update method will do is to check if this already exists. Because we have the age key already exists, it will just update that value to the new value. And if it doesn't exist, like this, let's say we don't have phone numbers, it will create a new item. So let's say I want to add phone, and then the value will be 555123. So when we print student2.keys, we should get phone added as a new key, and when we print the values, we should see that the age is now 30, or let's just print the age. So let's see the output of this. So we have the keys to be first name, last name, age, city, email, phone, because we added a new key, phone. And then we got the age of student2 is now 30 because we replaced it with the update method. We have another method, the set default method, like this. Now this is used to update also, but what it does is that it gets the value of the specified key, and instead of giving you an error when the value does not exist, it just creates that value. So it's like you are getting and updating at the same time. So let's do an example of this. Let's use student1. Let's say print student1.keys, right? So we can see the keys in student1. Then I want to use the set default method to get phone number for student1 which doesn't exist. So I'm going to say student1.set default, and then here I'm going to specify the phone as the key value for the phone number. So let me use 1 2 3 4 5 6. And so when I print student1.keys, I'm going to get all the keys, and when I print student1.values, we'll see the value. Now something else I can do is to say I want to use this set default to return the item that I want to get, like to return it if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, create it, right? So now phone doesn't exist, so it's going to create it. We'll see the new keys and then the new values, right? So we have the original keys there, first name, last name, age, city, email. And then we have the addition of this phone key and the value, and then we now have the new keys with phone added to the keys, and we see the values with the new phone number. There are other methods that we can use, but these methods are like destructive methods, like when we use the pop method. Now when we use the pop method, we have to specify a key. Recall that in lists, when we look at the pop method, we just use it to remove the last item of the list. But in a dictionary, we specify the key of what we want to remove. Let's say we want to print student1.keys, and then we want to pop. So write student1.pop, and we're removing the, let's say we're removing the age, and then let's print again student1.keys. So we'll see that the age should be removed if all is well. So now we have the original keys with the age, and then we have the new keys without the age after we pop. All right, there is another method, pop item, like this, and the pop item method will remove the last inserted item. So the pop item is the one that works like how the pop works in a list. So if we put pop item, we'll not specify anything here, and to remove the last inserted item. Okay, so let's insert something and let's pop. Let's say student1, and then we want to pop item. It will add the grade 10, it will add the class and grade 10 as the value, and then it will give us the keys with the class key added, and then we'll pop the item, and this last inserted will be removed again. So let's see that. So when I run and all is well, we'll have the first set of original keys after we added a new key class is first name, last name, age, city, email, class, and then use pop item, and it removed the last inserted item, which is class. We have another keyword we can use to delete, the del keyword. We've seen this in other iterable types, and we use it to delete either the entire dictionary or we delete the specified item. I'm going to add this back, and I'm going to try to use the delete to remove this instead of pop item. So let's say delete student1, and then I want to print student1.keys again. And when I run, I have a new key added class. I use the del keyword to remove that newly added one, and then I use the keys to get the keys of the dictionary after this del keyword operation. We can delete the entire dictionary, because if I say the del and I put the dictionary name student4, when I try to print anything from student4, I will get an error because student4 will no longer exist when I use the del keyword like this, so I get an error. If you don't want to delete that dictionary and you just want to clear the items of a dictionary. Then use the clear method to just empty the content without deleting it. So let's say print student1.keys, and then we want to student1.clear, and then print student1. So we're expecting that we get the keys of the original dictionary, we clear the dictionary, and then now we get an empty dictionary when we print. And so when I run this, we have keys of the original dictionary, and then when we cleared, we have an empty dictionary. We have the copy method, which works exactly like the dict method that we looked at. We can use the copy method to copy from one dictionary to another, to copy the content of a dictionary. So let's say we want to have science class, for instance. Let's say science class. So science class will be equal to every student in student 3, or let's say the student 3 belongs to the science class, so we'll say student3.copy. And then when we print science class.keys, we'll see student, so let's say .items. So print science class items, and then we'll see all the content of student 3 has been copied into science class. So we can get the first name Emily, last name Johnson, which is what we have for student. Then we can use the dict method also instead of this. So let's say we have art class, and we'll now say art class is equal to, we want student 1 to be in art class, so we can use the dict method and specify the dictionary student 1. And so when I print art class.items, then we have all of the items of student 1 in the art class. Then we have this method we call from keys. So the from keys method will assign a single value to maybe several dictionary keys. Let's say that we have a classroom, for instance, and in that classroom we want to select some of the students into the class. So that means we'll have one classroom value, so we'll say class assigned, for instance, and then we want to add students to this class, but we want to create a dictionary from that assignment. So let's write something like this: student assigned, student 3 dot first name. We use dot get first name, or we use this first name like this. And now we want to create a dictionary from these two, where this student 3 first name will be the key, and then the value will be the class assigned. We want to assign this class to each of these students, and so we'll use that from keys method to do that. So let's say student classes equal to, we want to create a dictionary, so we can use a dict method like this. So we'll say student classes is equal to dict, and we want to use the from keys method. So dict dot from keys, and then we want to put the key and then the value. And this is useful when you want to do something in batch and you don't want to have to do one after the other when they all have the same value. So let's print this out, student classes. Let's see how this works. So if all is well, the intention is to have a dictionary with the student 3 first name as the key, and then the value will be grade 10, student 4 first name as the key, and the value will be grade 10. So let's run. So we have Emily grade 10, Michael grade 10, and that is what we intended. Alright, so we've looked at all the methods we have for a dictionary. Let's now look at how we can work with a nested dictionary. For instance, I want to have a dictionary called students, and this dictionary, I can now decide to say I want to create each of these in that dictionary, where student 3 will become a key, and then the value of student 3 will be a dictionary, and then I can copy student 2. So everything as a comma separated list. Student 2 will now be a key, and then the value of student 2 will be a dictionary of all the values, and you continue like that for as many students as you want. But to make it neater, we already have these in a variable, and so we can create a nested dictionary by specifying a key, let's say student 1, and then the value will just be the variable that holds student 1 dictionary, and as a comma separated list, student 2. So after the last there will be no comma, and when we want to print student.keys, so our keys will now be student 1, student 2, student 3, and student 4. So this is what we call a nested dictionary. So take note that we have been using a dictionary in a dictionary, but we've not specified what happens when the value is a list and not a dictionary. So maybe we have something like languages, for instance, and this student speaks a lot of language. We want it to be a list, so we can put English, French. So we can have a list as the value of an item. So we have our nested dictionary, and we can call the items the same way we did the last one, only that we'll have two layers. For instance, if I want to get the name of the student 1, so now we have it in a new dictionary called students. So we're printing students, and then in a pair of square brackets I'll put the key I want, student 1, and in another pair of square brackets I'll put the key of the inner dictionary, which is first name, and then we'll get the first name of student 1 printed this time. Or you can use .get like this. .get. You want to make it less complicated by making a neater one. So we just want to get John, and so we use .get and another .get outside. So this is where we end this lesson. Thank you and see you next week.